Do you remember these clowns on a fun fair sitting on chairs and shit-talking all the people passing through, and you could like throw a ball at them to make them fall into the water beneath? Yeah? Yeah, in Germany we call that Schadenfreude, when you derive joy from another person's pain. You kind of like enjoy the power over them, don't you? Throughout the centuries, humans have always enjoyed the power over other people, like made them their slaves, punished them, and enjoyed their superiority over them. Your superiority over the clown, men over women, white over black, society over outcasts, parents over children. Power can also occur very subtle and unrecognizable, maybe even productive than repressive. Power is everywhere, if you want it or not, so speaks Michel Foucault, a French power philosopher of the 20th century.
For if knowledge is power, then a god am.
That right there is Foucault. Like, despite Jim Carrey in his Riddler jumpsuit, the phrase knowledge is power and vice versa, power is knowledge, is the core of Michel Foucault's philosophy. For example, with the knowledge of what is just and unjust, we take the power to put people in prisons. And within this power system of prisons, we literally control the prisoner's knowledge by limiting their world and what reaches them from the outside. It goes even further. What we know depends on our gender, race, religion, past and present, and class and income. When everything depends on everything, we speak of PostStructuralism, a school of thought that Michel Foucault refers to. So, for example, every reader of a book has their own interpretation, different from the author's one. Meanings are forever shifting. Nothing is certain. The French intellectual Foucault makes another discovery. Remember the poor souls in the Middle Ages which were publicly abased? Like public humiliation, tomatoes thrown and stuff, you remember? This, like, humiliation and public display, also take executions and torturing, were the old model of punishment. If you stole a loaf of bread, right hand cut off. A very simple yet painful punishment. You won't do any evil again because then you must fear to lose your left hand, right? Public hanging, burning, disemboweling, take a pick, doesn't matter. It all serves the same purpose of making the people abide by the law. On the other hand, it gives them a reason to start a revolution when they see a man strangled to death just because he farted during the king's speech. Foucault says that the public opposition against our states today has decreased because we don't have these symbolic acts of justice anymore, like hanging. What do we do instead? Prisons? Since the 19th century, the judgment about an appropriate punishment doesn't aim at the crime, but rather at the individual. By putting it in a limited controlled space, respectively prison, we shape its behavior in such ways that it hopefully will re-enter society, so that society, in the best case, doesn't even notice any punishment because it all happens behind closed doors. Or have you ever been to a prison? Well, most of you may not have been to one in the 19th century, when they used to look like this. The so-called Panopticon was invented by Jeremy Bentham and further adopted by Michel Foucault. Its magic reveals itself when we take a look from the center, a 180-degree view on every single cell for just one prison guard. The major effect of the Panopticon, to induce in the inmate a state of conscious and permanent visibility that assures the automatic functioning of power. Evil effectiveness, you can call that. There was not even a prison guard required sitting in the center because the prisoners couldn't even see through the Venetian blinds and thus seemed under constant surveillance. Very important for Foucault, since he believed that discipline requires enclosure. Thus, in the ideal scenario, the prisoners would be socialized rather than repressed by the power acted upon them. We all got discipline through architecture, so Foucault speaks, if not in prison, then in school. Let's have a look on the arrangement of desks and chairs inside of a classroom. Every student desk is facing towards the teacher's desk. Everyone is watched by the teacher and tied to their seats. The location is fixed so that their behavior can be influenced and rated. Foucault Foucault even speaks of ranks you reach according to your age, performance and behavior. From the 18th century on, pupils were ranked according to their knowledge and physically moved inside of the classroom according to their merits. Similar in lecture halls. Here it works like in the Panopticon. Of course, you can sit wherever you want, but still, the person who stands up front has the view over all of the pupils, all of the students, you better say. So there is a hierarchy created by architecture. And how can we break this hierarchy between the controller and the controlled? How can we transform the space of surveillance into a space of mutual growth? The article Die Möbelmachtmanifestation, which translates into English as The Furniture Power Manifestation by author Felix Rode, gives an answer. In order for the professor to meet the students on the same level, flat hierarchies are needed. Rode's practical solution? Setting everyone in a circle. Here, everyone sees everyone and there's no centered point where the power comes from. Not only the hierarchies fall, in this configuration the students as well as the professor are under constant surveillance. The instance that was so important to Foucault since he believed that only then discipline can be built. The next step could be not only questioning hierarchies, but questioning authority. For mutual growth, mutual participation is needed, right? And how can that happen if everyone listens to one teacher, one professor? Let me know in the comments what is needed for a better educational system. Do we need to go back to the times of strictness and punishment, or even further back to philosophical walks like Aristotle did with his students? I'll see you next time in the next video after walking and philosophizing. Have fun in the sun. Till then, the jam. Mwah.